Yep. All right.
All right, we're live. We're at Hemingway's. We are sitting next to the most beautiful water with the most beautiful sights that you can get anywhere in the world with two beautiful people. I'm here with the commissioners, two of them from Queen Anne's County. I'm here with Jack Wilson and Commissioner Jim Moran, and we're here for a very fun event. We're here for Ask a Commissioner. So thanks for joining me tonight, guys.
You're welcome.
Thank you. They wish they weren't here, apparently. No. So we wanted to have this event to have a little bit of fun and to do something that we've never done before in Queen Anne's County, and that was allow the public to come out, talk to you guys, and ask questions, because normally they just have public comment and they don't get to really interact with you guys as much. So tonight's going to be different. But we're also going to talk about a couple other concerns we have, and we're going to open it up tonight talking about something that's right behind us, the Bay Bridge. So obviously we're going to talk about the bridge a little bit. I know you want to talk about traffic and the Bay Bridge Commissioner. So I'm going to allow you guys to open it up with just tell us what's on your mind.
All right, so we'll jump right into this before we get to some of those questions. The iconic Bay Bridge behind us is probably going to be the biggest Achilles heel for Queen Anne's County in the fact that it does not have the capacity now, nor will it have the capacity in the future to handle the traffic that's existing and what we're anticipating the growth to be. So we have, over the last 3 years, gone to the state on their state tour and offered them multiple plans to rectify some of the issues with the bridge. The last one was the Queen Anne's County traffic plan that we worked on for 6 months. Last September they took the plan. They reviewed the plan, and we just found out, I think it was 2 weeks ago, in a letter from the state that basically said no to the plan. The letter didn't say no to the plan, we're going to do this. The letter didn't say no to the plan, we're going to try some different options. It just said no. And I think we're at a cusp of a problem that no longer can we accept just no. So with that, and the odd thing about it, their reasoning for no was, one, they don't think it would be good for the citizens of Queen Anne's County, and two, they don't think it would be good for our businesses. And it was exactly the reason we put the plan into play. So we're working on that. Another issue we're working on is contraflow on the Bay Bridge. So I don't know how many people he'll work on the western shore of the Bay Bridge, but it's very frustrating coming up and finding yourself in a backup on a beautiful day like today because the wind's blowing too hard, or because it's raining, or it's drizzling. So, we've offered some solutions to that, and we haven't got a response. So we're going to apply, I don't want to say pressure, but we're going to stay on it, because one of the best things the state does do is a thing called baseband. So if you're leaving your office, it's 4:30, you can pick up the phone, you can call baseband, and you can find out how far backed up the bridge is, if in fact it's backed up at all. And if it is backed up, you can plan accordingly your trips. What happens now is people don't use that service, number one, and number two, the state automatically, if it's raining, closes contraflow down, or if it's above 40 mile per hour winds, I believe it is, they'll close contraflow. Well, the county, as everybody here hopefully knows, a year and a half ago, put up counters for traffic. And those counters for traffic are counting the traffic eastbound and westbound. So just for a little background, I don't want to ramble on here forever, is the Route 50 can handle 1,700 cars an hour. The Bay Bridge can handle 1,500 cars per hour. So it's a sheer volume issue. So our Sunday afternoons, those backups aren't accidents. Those backups are just sheer volume. And that's why the NEPA study started. That's why they're looking into another bay crossing. But, we're 10 to 12 years away if everything goes well with that. But getting back to the contraflow, one of the things that you can do, is now that we have those counters, we see it by 6 p.m., less than 1,500 vehicles traveling westbound crossing the Bay Bridge to the western shore. So that's one lane's capacity. So to us, why can't we at 6 p.m. open up contraflow? Even if it is raining, even if it is windy, you'll have the center lane closed, you'll have one lane going westbound, one lane going eastbound on the three-span bridge, but you'll alleviate all that backup in Anne Arundel County. And our citizens can get home, and those that are traveling through the county can get there. And what that does is that now that if you say, okay, that's something we're going to implement, you can turn around and on basebands at 4:30 when you call it, you can say, well, due to the rain today, contraflow won't be opened up till 6 p.m. So now somebody can go to the store, they can stay at work a little longer, instead of getting in a 7-mile backup. Last Thursday, it wasn't raining. It was, and I honestly don't know why Contraflow wasn't open, but at 2:30 in the afternoon, it was backed up for a mile and a half. There was an accident on the eastbound bridge. There was only one lane open. In less than an hour, it went to a 7.5-mile backup. And to me, that's just unacceptable. I just think that there's something that the state can do, and it's a very little effort, and I know safety is an issue, but that's something I feel that they could definitely help us with in those getting home from work. So I'm going to leave it at that and let you.
That's good.
Well,
That's good.
just to add to that too, Jim, a lot of the studies that were done back when they did the lifespan for the bridge were done before they had the numbers and any information on the Delaware bypass. So those cars and majority tractor trailers, I will say I've seen the uptick in the last month, probably double, if not more, of the tractor trailers coming down 301. And that flow across the bridge was never calculated into the bay's lifespan. There's additional tractor trailers going across it. So I got to believe that that's going to take some lifespan off it too. And right now we're looking at 2040, right? Pretty much.
Well, 2040 is between 2040 and 2060 is the total lifespan.
Total lifespan, right.
Total of these bridges. And the amount of money that they're dumping in, as you can see, at any given night that you're crossing that bridge in either direction after 9 p.m., there's, according to the Bay Bridge Richard, who runs the Bay Bridge, there's 15 different companies working up there on that bridge. 15 different companies. So that, they've added a second set of suspension cables. They're trying to complete the painting. They're working under the bridge. They're constantly inspecting the bridges. And the former director for MDTA was Kevin Regret, and he was let go last week. And we don't know why, but one of the questions we posed to him last September is, what do you do when the traffic gets so much from the Delaware bypass, 404 open, during the daytime hours where you can't close lanes to do your inspections and your work? And he goes, that's a big problem. They don't have an answer for that.
All right, guys, anything else before I ask a couple questions? Some open comment?
Fire away.
Go ahead. Oh, no. All right. So before we really dig down and I let everyone out here ask their questions, I have a couple things for you. But I really want to get down to why we're doing this. So why are you letting people do this?
I think it eliminates a lot of hearsay. I think that, asking questions, especially, on the traffic, there's a lot of times we see that there's a lot of comments on social media that politicians don't care, politicians aren't doing anything. And believe me, we are in the state's ear 24/7 on it, and it's frustrating because it's not our road. It's not a county road. It's a state road. And I think that and I hate to use that term, turn up the noise, but I think that we're getting to that time when we have to do something different. We have to do something to get a response from the state to move forward in one direction or another.
Right. And what are we hoping to get out of questions?
I mean, I guess at the end of the day, we look around at government right now, and there's a certain level of distrust, whether it's local, state, or federal. And I think transparency and openness with the public is probably one of the best things we could bring back to bring that public trust back in your local officials, your state officials, and your federal officials. And with us being the locals, we're here in the trenches with the citizens probably closer than any other level. So we just feel like it's the best way to, first off, find out what's going on without getting on Facebook. Because this is an opportunity to come out and ask a question. And I better not see any questions on Facebook tomorrow, because you can come on Facebook Live now and ask us a question. So I just think the transparency is the biggest thing that we got to offer with all the things going on in the city of Baltimore and things like that. I think this is a good start to at least be able to reach out to the citizens and give them the opportunity to talk to us, approach us, whatever.
That's right. Transparency was my favorite word you said. That's what we're here for tonight. Again, if you're watching at home and you're on Facebook, you can add your questions now on Facebook, and if we have time, we're going to get to them. We have someone in the audience, Beth Mulaski, who's going to be taking care of our questions. That's right, I said your name, and I know you're like, why'd you say my name? She's going to be handling your questions online, so please just keep adding them, and we're going to get to them if we can. So the number one question that was asked, why are we doing this at 5 o'clock, guys?
Well, originally, we wanted to do it at 5 o'clock tomorrow, just to show how backed up the bridge would be behind us. So that's why we did it today at 5 o'clock, and we didn't want to tie up this. And I want to thank Hemingway's for allowing us to use their patio out here, but that's all. I mean, we intend to move these meetings around once a month, move them to different locations and at different times. So it's not always going to be at 5 o'clock.
Right. So there is a plan. Oh, thank you. So we do have a plan. We're going to be doing more than just one of these. Don't you cheat? I saw you cheating. We're going to do more
Scripted
than,
questions.
Yeah, we're going to do more than one of these.
Thanks,
So
Mom.
we're doing one a month. What's the plan for next month?
We will be at Nana Maria's in North County, District 1. Probably going to shoot for 6:30, 7 o'clock start time up there, just because a little further north and all.
See, there you go. So everyone that was complaining about the
and
times.
just so everybody understands, we started with the at-large in District 1, and then so the next meeting will be District 1 with District 2, and then District 2 with District 3, and then District 3 with 4, and 4 with 1, or at-large. So we're changing it up. It's not a quorum. We just have 2 commissioners at one time. There's no set reason. We're just following that order, and then so Jack wants to do the Northern District, and then I think Commissioner Wilson wants to do Department of Emergency Services. So, and then Chris, I don't know where you're going to pick, but we definitely are moving around that direction.
Taco truck, right? Taco truck. Yeah. Yeah.
So as a plug for everybody in the county, businesses alike, it's a great opportunity to reach out to QAC TV if you'd like to host one of these open sessions. I think I calculated we got 36 months to go before you kick us out of here. So that gives you 36 opportunities to do this. So.
So it's at 5 o'clock tonight. It won't be at 5 o'clock every time. It'll be somewhere different. We'll be going all around the county. So obviously you're not ducking people by making this at 5, right, guys?
Right. Absolutely.
All right. What's your favorite cookie?
I'm a chocolate chip guy.
Yeah, I'll go with that chocolate chip.
It's so boring. All right. First question before I jump into the audience, just because it was put in my hand. Can you do anything to help get Comcast or Verizon Fios in QAC? We need more options.
Well, we are working on it. For those that don't know, we have, over a year and a half ago, we formed a broadband advisory committee. They've been working diligently. They came to us about 2 months ago, I guess it was, 3 months ago, with a proposal to go out and do an RFP to find out what existing assets are, what assets can be utilized, and then we're going to go into what is an engineering stage. Is it mine? I can yell.
Mine's fine.
To the engineering stage so that we can figure out some of our logistical issues in terms of deploying broadband throughout the county. In terms to answer the direct question about Comcast and who was the other one? Fios. Okay. So Fios, it really comes down to the way the Eastern Shore was set up years ago under the telecommunications in terms of telephone and things like that and the original cable TV. And quite honestly, it was everyone kind of picked their own little county they wanted to plant their feet in, and that's what they did. So, and there was always kind of a thing amongst the Comcasts, and because you go to Caroline County, they have Comcast. We have Atlantic Broadband right here in Queen Anne's County. They just kind of said, we're not going to go across that line and tread on your toes and compete with you. Well, obviously that's changed a lot because cable TV is no longer the norm. Internet is the big need, and people stream now. So that whole era of cable is slowly but surely fading away.
Well, and that being said, it's also a rooftop issue. It's a dollar amount. I mean, it's Fios, Verizon, and Comcast. The densities aren't here according to their business model to come in here and run fiber optic everywhere. So, we've asked them, we've approached them, and they just aren't interested.
Right, because they have to put their own backbone in. They don't share assets between the cable companies and the internet providers. But the good news is we've got a startup company, not really a startup. They've been in business for a few years now. Has approached Queen Anne's County. They're coming into self-fund. They want to do fiber to the home projects. So it's taken time, but I think over time we'll get there. As far as going out and reaching, it's capitalism. So people are going to come where they can make money. And if Comcast, Verizon can't come here and make money, they're not going to do it. So.
And it also might come down to a public-private partnership.
Absolutely.
Sooner or later, it might have something where we finally, the frustration levels are there, and we can't get any headway on it because what is it? I think
$8 a foot to just put the fiber in the ground.
over 50% of the county has no connectivity at all.
Right now, yeah, roughly. If you take cell phones out of the mix, you're looking at about less than 60% of the county is actually served by any type of reliable wired broadband service. So,
All right, guys, we're going to do a live test because this is how live TV works. How's that sound, George? Getting it? All right, I'm going to switch with you if you don't mind.
you can't carry this around?
Well, I mean, I was going to carry it around, but then I'd end up tangling around, going trip and fall, and then I'll be embarrassed. All right, I'm going to come out to all the lovely people, If you have a question, just raise your hand. We're going to walk around. I'm going to walk up to you. We're going to talk into the mic. We have 2 rules. It's very easy. It has to be a question, and don't touch the mic. Yeah. Well, you can touch the anchor. I mean, I'm very easy. I just don't want any tapping on the mic or anything weird. So remember, we're here to have fun. We're here to have a nice, joyful experience with the commissioners. It's a very informal evening. I can't think of a better place to start. All right. Oh, you're very, very welcome. You want to say your name too, just so we can get real intimate. There's Ted. Ted's over there with the camera. I'll make sure we can be seen. All right, commissioners, you ready? Here we go. Question number 1. First time ever. There's a lot of pressure. Don't mess this up.
Hi, Helen Bennett. Thank you for doing this. Bruce, again, congratulations on your wedding next week. That's pretty exciting.
Cheap plug.
Since we were talking about the bridge, and I know that I've had some conversations with Jack about this, the Third Bay Bridge span, if it were to come here, it was great when we met with Andy Harris and with you, and you asked some great questions about that. This would be an opportunity for us to get all of our road projects done if it ends up coming here. My concern is, since there's so many repairs, now it seems like they've picked up their schedule. I mean, our 10K is not going to be held anymore because of repairs. Is there a concern that the state highway will just take it over, deem it unsafe, and put that third span in, and we would lose the opportunity to have our road projects done?
You want to take the part about the 10K? Real quick?
Well, that involves a lot of speculation. The state, SHA already owns it. I mean, they're the umbrella over top of everybody. So they already own the bridge. So they have already, as far as repairs are concerned, I think that's our number 1 issue, and that's why they're always inspecting those bridges, top and bottom, looking underneath for repairs and what needs to be done. So, but no, I don't think we will lose that. I think that that's a great question, because a lot of people don't understand that. If a third span is built here, and it more likely would replace one of the existing spans, it's almost like Christmas for Queen Anne's County and Anne Arundel County, because in order to do something here, there's going to be some give and take, and we'll be able to complete overpasses, more overpasses, our side Cox Creek connector, some of these other things which the county would demand, basically. But if you're going to do another bridge here, then we need to get some of our other infrastructure taken care of.
And to the 10K was, sadly, there was some false information. There was no repairs, as what we understand.
We had a meeting
communication about that.
at the bridge, at the office, and we were told that starting in May, there is a major construction project that's going to last 10 months and may involve lane closures. And that means lane closures for more than, I guess, imagine 6 hours. So we all sat up and went, we heard lane closures. So, they canceled the 10K. Come to find out later, there was no major project. What they're calling the major project is the painting of the secondary span. And to me, that's, and again, it's, in my opinion, that's not a reason to cancel that race, which is so important to Queen Anne's County.
Cool. All right. Follow-up question. What did you get me for my wedding?
It's on the way.
That's a surprise. Come on, I don't want to ruin that.
All right. Come on right here. I'm doing great. Thank you. Here, we're going to come right around here.
Okay. My name is Kathy Diotis. Just to preface, I grew up on Cape Cod, in New England. There are not 1 but 2 bridges there, train service, bus service, and they still deal with this. So my question, after I've accepted the lovely place where I live, I knew where I was moving, is what is the plan for emergency services when there is gridlock? That is something that's a concern of mine. My husband's really old. No, I'm kidding. No. I know
That was
there's
a cheap
plan.
shot,
I know
Nick.
there's a plan, and I'm
There
not
is.
aware of what that plan is. So I'd like
I don't
to
know what the name of that plan is, but MDTA can call it, Sheriff's Office can call it, State Police can call it, and our Department of Emergency Service can call it. And what it does is it basically just will lock down all of the exits along Route 50 for our emergency services to move on our side roads. So yes, there is a plan. They used it, I believe, once last year. I don't know what the event was, but there is a plan. But that is one of our concerns, and that's a concern that we are constantly talking about with the state, is our emergency services. God forbid something happens here at this exit, because coming from south from South Route 8 or coming from Kent Island Volunteer Fire Department, on one of those Sundays, last August and September, we had 3 Sundays in a row with 10-mile backups. 3 of them. And that's just, and the numbers, and you got to remember, when we get into a backup and traffic slows down, now your Bay Bridge capacity goes from 1,500 vehicles per hour down to less than 1,000. So that causes the backup to even increase. So, again, the plan was to shut down those exits, keep the traffic onto Route 50, which was our bridge to beach plan, our beach to bridge plan. And what that does is, if you're only going to sit in a backup for 4 hours one time, and you're going to go, I'm not leaving at that time next time I go. A lot of these are your weekend travelers. A lot of these are your people that go over on Thursday, Friday, spend the 2 days, and come back Sunday night. And what we're trying to do is force them to change their habits. Leave a lot earlier or not. Don't come back till Monday.
And the other thing, Kathy, real quick, to speak to that in terms of being an all-volunteer system here, our volunteer firefighters don't camp out at the fire station on Saturdays and Sundays. So our firefighters got to get through that traffic to get to the fire station to be able to respond. So it becomes even more critical depending on how much that backup is and how much it flows off onto the side streets and into the neighborhoods even. Because I heard stories last year of them being as far down as Old Love Point Road trying to circumvent to get back out on Route 8. And that's ridiculous that Waze or GPS even be taking you down there.
Yeah, and it's the same thing with our businesses. I mean, right there, right next door is the Beach Club. And the majority of their employees come from Caroline County. So by 10:30 in the morning, 11 o'clock in the morning, the backup's already kicking in. If they're coming to work at 3 o'clock in the afternoon for an evening wedding or an event, they're having problems getting their employees to work.
All right, favorite sports team?
49ers.
Oh, any team that comes from
Any,
Queen
yeah.
Anne's County.
Wow, that was that was cheap
And
right there. I just got to
if
say.
you couldn't hear the cheap moans from the crowd, okay? Yeah. All right.
You see how our paid sports teams are. So I'll go with the unpaid.
Hi, my name's John Conley. I live in Chester. Thank you for being here, and thank you for your station doing this. I think it's great. Moving a little bit closer to home, the article in the Bay Times and the information that's on the internet about the sudden sale of Christ Church, as you can imagine, as a member of the County Island Heritage Society, been getting a lot of calls from people saying, what are you all going to do about this? Well, I think if the rumor mill is true, it's pretty much a done deal. We know who's going to buy it. We know how they're doing it. The question I have is, how can we, with the Heritage Society and others, over the past year, I've taken 4th graders, the entire class, 7th graders, the entire class, the junior class from the high school, and 80 teachers from the high school. We've all taken them on tours through our sites, including the church, which is where we always start because it's the most convenient place to start. Nothing at all I'm going to say bad about the people who are in there. I have no reason to do that. My real concern is if and when this sale goes through, what are you going to put in the language into the bill of sale that somehow protects the 1880 church that we consider such an icon in the county, let alone on Kent Island? What are you all going to put in there to ensure that that access to the public is still there? Will there be anything that will prohibit the destruction of the interior of the church, not the exterior of the church? And finally, I read through the proposal. I don't see anywhere where you mention a minimum price that you'll take. Is this an absolute auction? Lowest one bidder, one price, they get it? How are you all going to approach those questions?
Well, that's like 5 questions, so we'll start at the beginning. If you know who's going to buy it, you need to tell us because we don't know yet. So, okay. So first off, the church has a Maryland Historical Trust tied to it, and we have checked with them twice in the last week to make sure that nothing can happen to the church. So nobody can tear that church down according to the Maryland Historical Trust, and that covenant will convey with the selling. We as commissioners can also add, right, Chris? Can also add more covenants to the sale. Okay, so we're not looking to sell this thing and somebody come in here and put condos up or apartments. I mean, we want it to stay, but Queen Anne's County government should not be in the business of renting property. And I think that it was a mistake, and it's my personal opinion, for the county ever to buy it. We've had it for a while, and we bought it for $375,000. We've spent probably another $700,000 in repairs, and we are not getting a return for the citizens of Queen Anne's County. So, You know, that was the decision that we made to say, look, you know, there are some repairs that we feel, if it stayed with the county, are coming up. That's going to cost somewhere in the neighborhood about $500,000. It was time for us to, you know, fish or cut bait, and I hate to use that term, but I will because of the fact that there's some very passionate groups in the community that want control of that church. Okay, and that's why to your last question about the price, we did not set a price. We are saying make us an offer, just come to it with us with the business plan for what you want to use the area for, and it's the entire area. It also goes with the small house of the parsonage. It also comes with that because that we have given notice to the individual that was in there to vacate the premises. So everything's going to go as one sale.
Good. All right. I have a question that was emailed into us from Tom. Why has a residence in Flyway Base Tracker Court off Union Church Road been allowed to have a small tractor-trailer-sized dumpster in their driveway for over 3 years? There you go.
I think that, well, all I can say to that is because, one, I don't know where that is. Two, I don't know what the zoning restrictions are for that area. So all I can do is say we'll turn that over to Vivian Swinson and let her answer that question.
We have Leslie. Can you take notes on that to that address and all,
That's one
so
of the-
that we
you know,
can?
that's- That was one of the things we were worried about. Somebody saying,
I'll
"Why
email
is
it to
there
you,
a ditch
Leslie."
in front of my house, it's full of water," and it's, yeah, that's.
But we'll certainly, this is an opportunity to bring it out, and we can get it checked into and find out why and get an
Sure.
answer.
So we'll make sure, Tom, wherever you are, that hopefully gets taken care of.
And on that note, if people are watching this and they do have issues with their neighbor's trash, a ditch holding too much water, something that you feel that shouldn't be in your view, they call planning and zoning, code enforcement, and they can have that looked into to find out if in fact it's allowed or disallowed. Or they can email Commissioner Dumanel. Commissioner
Yeah.
Dumanel. Email Commissioner Dumanel.
All concerns, email Commissioner Dumanil. All right. Another email that we got in was from a Robert Lowe. He wants to know if the Queens County Health Department or any other agency has conducted lead testing in the paint or performed lead abatement in the attached parish hall that we previously talked about at the church.
I can't answer that. I can't answer that
Yeah, check on
honestly
that.
because I don't know. But I will tell you every year the church, or not the church, but the rectory behind it, the hall behind it, is checked because there's a daycare in it. So they do check it. I don't know if lead is part of their deal with checking it, but that is as is for sale. For instance, if there is lead, somebody could come in and look at that beforehand and make the decision if they want to move forward.
And we will check on that and get an answer for that as well.
Great.
To
All
confirm
right.
it.
What's your favorite movie of all time?
Anything with John Wayne in it.
Anything with John Wayne. All right.
I'm old.
It's going to take a while.
It's good.
There's
All right,
just so many going through my head right now.
Okay, we got another one that was from Facebook. Can you confirm charter will be next month so we can get the cameras on buses to ticket red light runners?
Say that one more time.
What?
Can you confirm charter will be next month so we can get the cameras on buses to ticket red light runners?
What is charter? Well, okay. Well, I will tell you at
That's
our
the
next
state-
meeting we
for
are
the state,
introducing it. So yes, that we are introducing it, and then it'll go for a hearing.
Okay.
So
There
yes,
you go.
that is moving forward.
Any other
Before next
questions
school
from
year.
people that we have gathered around here before we take another Facebook? You have another one? Yeah.
Is there an audit schedule for the quasi-county, I guess I was thinking of the volunteer fire departments. Is there an audit schedule for all of those? And if so, can you tell me what that schedule is?
For the volunteer fire departments?
Yes, because they do, they get county money, plus they do the big fundraisers, so I'm just curious if there's an audit schedule.
Well, first off,
I'm asking for a friend.
Who was your
That's
friend?
a-
You better
it's a-
put them on blast right now.
it's a good question because I think that came up about 4 or 5 years ago because the county does give them money, and I honestly can't answer when you sit with your DES.
It's never come up as a topic of conversation if they have an audit period, but I'm sure that they are through the state Maryland State Firemen's Association. There has to be some kind of accountability there, but we'll find out what the process is and certainly share it on out through the media and let you know. Yeah, but I got to believe there is. There's got to be something there.
All right, another one from Facebook. This is from Justin Davis. He wants to know what is the possibility of making Route 18 a toll road free for locals, similar to North Virginia or Dulles Toll Road?
Big money. Big money. I mean, that is an option. It is an option for us to go to the state and petition the state for them to turn over Route 18 to us, and then we can close the exits. But once they turn over Route 8 to us, there's a couple bridges in there. That's a lot of money, a lot of maintenance, and I just don't know if that is the way that the county wants to go right now.
All right, I see a lot of people that aren't asking questions. This is your one time only, folks, to ask questions of the commissioners. Someone's taking advantage. All right, I'll be right back over. No, that's why you're here. You take advantage.
Okay, since we were talking about Route 18 anyway, since 18 and 552 are both state roads currently, and that is rated an F intersection, I noticed that in the DRA for the Four Seasons, they were going to give us $350,000 for improvement of that intersection. And if I understand it, I heard this, I don't know this, that Rite Aid and Walgreens also put in some money. Can you tell me what improvements that would mean for that intersection?
Postal Road, though, right?
Are you talking about the Postal Road intersection with 18, or are you talking about Castle Marina?
Castle Marina, 18.
So Castle Marina is getting a new circle at Route 18. So they're making, and if you drive by there now, you'll see they've already started construction with digging. It's getting a bigger, an expanded traffic circle, and that's what the $350,000 paying. Four Seasons is actually paying for the work in the state right away.
That's what I thought.
And Main Street.
Right, you're
18
talking
and
about over by
552.
CVS Rite Aid,
Okay.
that area. Or Walgreens, I'm sorry, Walgreens Rite Aid. So I think what you're talking about, though, is the Postal Road upgrade. There's supposed to be a circle at Postal Road, just like you have on the other side. And actually, I think still, if you go to SHA's website, they show that circle already being there, but obviously it's not. So I got to believe that's it, because I think that's the only failing intersection there. And you're sitting right next to the guy that can actually verify that, Jack Broderick, because we had that meeting on this a couple years ago with the Lowry's project, and I think the Postal Road was the failing. And I think the one up at Dominion it's a C, but I don't think it was failing at the time under the present traffic.
So the $350,000 that the Four Seasons was going to give, what is it going to be used for?
I don't know
Okay.
I don't know what 350,000 you're referring to.
Okay.
That's mean. So
Okay.
you actually know more there than we do. So sorry, I can't
Because
answer
I would
that
say
one.
anything that they would have would have been on that side, on the circle, on Four Seasons side. I wouldn't think any of that money would have come over to the other side of 18,
Okay, thank you.
or, 552, so.
Got that movie yet?
I was thinking about traffic circles, for God's sakes. I can't.
Speed. All right.
Okay, so this is about Verizon cell service. So on one of my husband's very long involved conversations with a Verizon wireless rep, the gentleman actually said, there are times we cannot make a phone call, cannot send a text message. And Nick was told, well, sir, you're in a marginal service area. So if I could ask a favor the next time you talk to a Verizon rep, could you ask them when is the marginal rate for the marginal service coming to Queen Anne's County? Please.
You know, I'll give you a story, another spot in the county, and for anybody everybody goes to the county fair, right? And you have a Verizon phone at the county fair. Do you ever notice it doesn't work there? Because AT&T has the only tower that serves where the fairgrounds are. So and for years, to be honest with you, it's much better than it used to be, because where I live up north, you used to get no service up there. I mean, zero. It wasn't even marginal. So they have, but it's all about the money and how much you're getting on it. Now, I got to imagine with the traffic pickups, they're going to have more throughway traffic, which will increase their services in some of these towers, and maybe that'll create the need to upgrade the towers. Some of it could be older equipment, too, because I know that there is a push to move to 5G, which are all, I'm sure you hear the buzz about 5G. So it could be in a transition stage, too. We do not meet with Verizon our only franchise agreement is with Atlantic Broadband, and that's for the cable TV.
All right, here's another one from Facebook that you have no control over, but we're going to see what you have to say about it anyway.
These are the best ones.
Yeah. Why do they allow daytime work on the bridge? It makes backups.
Because they can't get it done at night. I mean, the bottom line is most of the daytime work on the bridge is inspections. So that's what you see, those pieces of equipment look like there's arms. They're underneath the bridge, and they're inspecting the cracks. They're inspecting the steel. And it's just too difficult to do that at night if they're working on the bridge. So that's what they do. They close the lanes. And if they think that's a backup, again, once traffic increases, they won't be able to do those inspections without closing those lanes down, and that's a problem. And that's something that they don't have the answer to address.
Plus, I think there's probably a certain level coming from the construction field. I think there's probably a certain level of safety concerns too. Certain things you can't do at night without, having good vision up there to do some of it. So,
Did you know the sun was going to be setting like this when we were trying to talk? All right, Jack, here we go.
Thank you, Bruce. Thank you guys for being here. My concern that I want to ask about this evening has to do with the preservation of the historic Christ Church property. Jack, before, and I'll do a little preface to my question, you mentioned the importance of public trust, transparency. I couldn't agree more. I'm somewhat bothered by the perception that many folks in the community have of a lack of transparency in the way that our county government, you guys, have handled this issue of putting the property up for sale. You have had an appointed board of citizens who are working with you, with the county, to try to help to maintain that property, lease the property, and so forth. And yet, when you made a decision somewhere this spring, for some reason, you guys failed to notify the board, your own board. And word was out ahead of time with the person that is in that lease now, a daycare center, that this was going to happen. My question, how can you assure the citizens of Queen Anne's County, and particularly those concerned with, say, the Mission and Heritage Society, discover, identify, support, and preserve the heritage of the island, how can you assure that the decision you guys make, whatever criteria you're going to use, is in fact going to be open and above board and addresses the major public good of preserving the heritage of that property? How can you make that assurance?
well, I'll tackle some of that first. I mean, the historic Christ Church has been on our radar for 3 years now. I mean, it's not like this is a new issue between the Friends of Christ Church and the people that want to use the church and the daycare being there. We've gone back and forth. We've had several, if not 6, 8 meetings, with people speaking from both sides and bringing what they want to do with the church to our table. And to reiterate what Commissioner Moran said earlier, the county, and this is why we got into this situation. First off, we bought a property the county should have never bought, in my opinion. And secondly, we shouldn't be landlords as the county. If it was up to me, anything that we are leasing or renting, we should get rid of as a county. But to go and Commissioner Corcorino, we talked to him earlier, and one of the things is what has happened out of this whole process is the sides that couldn't get along, that were utilizing the church or trying to utilize the church, are now talking about possible solutions. So in some sense, I kind of welcome the result of what did happen, is that the fact that the sides are coming together and maybe we get a result that will be amicable to everybody and we can stop fighting about this thing.
And I guess to your transparency and how can we guarantee you, I think that with that, we have a fiduciary responsibility to all the taxpayers in Queen Anne's County. And I think that, our and I don't want to use our schools, but I'm gonna, but our schools want more money. All the nonprofits want more money. I mean, and there's only so much to go around, and Christ Church is a burden on the county. And it's a burden financially on the county, and there's some competing interests that want that piece of property for their different, one for, the historical church, one for the daycare. We're fine with that. We're fine with that, but we don't want to be the bearers of the maintenance, of the uptake. And, and I apologize. I'm going to apologize right now for not notifying the Friends of Historic Christ Church, the board first, but it was something that we've been discussing, and I think that some of the board members knew we were discussing selling it and or turning it over, but we just didn't notify you before we voted on the resolution. So, that part, I'll take the hit for that. I'm the president. I'm the one put it on the agenda. So, I'll do that. But, as far as ensuring that Christ Church is going to stay and someone's going to get it, that's what we're going to look at in the packages. These I want to call them bid packages. You have to come up with what you intend to use the property for, and then we can, as commissioners, can put what's it called, Chris, when we put covenants on there that say, okay, well, we want to make sure that, okay, you're going to do this. We're going to put that as part of a covenant so that we ensure that the Christ Church, again, with the Maryland Historical Trust, does not get tore down, keeps and maintains it, hopefully works a deal with the Stevensville Historical Society to use it for tours, and maybe the daycare stays there also.
Yes, coming over.
I'm not full of joy, but I'm passionate, and you all know that.
Rule 2.
And so, just misconceptions, and then a question. We've always, the Friends of Historic Christ Church is a commission of the county commissioners. And we've tried to raise monies in there and hold fundraising events, but have not been able to do that because of the supplies and the furniture with the wonderful Christ Church preschool. And so we have been prevented from fulfilling our mission of trying to provide a meeting place for the county, the Arts and Cultural Center. There are so many things that we were supposed to do, but because of the preschool being there, we could not. And so my question is there any way that your reconsideration could be to reconsider the sale of the church, and if the people who are in there could become a self-sustaining group? We can write grants. We've got support from Maryland Historical Trust. If we can go in there as a historical or heritage society. And so I'm wondering if you would reconsider that, because we've not been able to fulfill our mission for you. Weddings are wonderful in there, weddings, but we really can't have any now. And that's been for 2.5 years. And the other, I think, non-transparency issue was when the contract was extended from 2/17 to 2/19. That meant no weddings could be given during those years. So we haven't done our deed for you. We haven't been a commission that has, but before that we provided good stewardship, I think. But the question is, suppose would you reconsider that for self-sustaining groups such as Friends or so forth? Long question.
Short answer is yes. We're going to take every consideration. We're going to take every consideration of what's offered. But you have to remember, first off, we extended it only 1 year. It was so this year, right now, there's no extension. It ends at the end of this school year. So that is the case. But that it's kind of a two-way street. I mean, I know that you wanted it. I know that you were building or getting a nonprofit. But you also came in and said, we want it, but we want $250,000 from the county. And that's what we don't want to get into. We don't want to get into, strings. We want to, if you want it and you've got a business plan for it, again, we're not beholden to any dollar amount on this. We want this to be able to be transferred, be able to church to stay where it is, you use it, and move forward with it.
And to give you another example where this has happened in the county, during my term and actually towards the beginning of Jim's term, was old Sudlersville Middle School. Okay, the county turned that over to the fire department, who had all great intentions of never needing another dime from the county and run that place. Well, $300,000 taxpayer dollars later, we finally said, no, you need to take it and you get no more money. And so now they have it, and they've had to work hard, but now they have a laundromat going in to serve the community up there, and they have some other things that they're working on. But it finally took just saying, no, the purse strings are cut, and you're on your own to make it happen or not. So, and I agree with Jim. We can't subsidize, even a wedding venue, as you mentioned. We'd be subsidizing a nonprofit to compete against the Beach Club, who is also a wedding venue. So.
Collaboration.
That's fine.
Okay.
You
okay.
know what you got to
what
do.
you said was be a wedding venue, so that's fine. Okay.
Good.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, guys. We're going to leave it to questions. All right. I'm going to come over for one more question over here, and we'll get the two more. I'm going to do one more Facebook as I walk over. Is Queen Anne's County ever going to start a program for trash and recycle pickup? That's from Justin Davis.
We researched that. Well, not we. It was before my time. That was researched, and it just wasn't cost effective. again, it goes down to, the municipalities have a better opportunity to do that. Or communities getting together as a community and saying we want to have trash collection in just small areas. Countywide, it's just not going to happen.
And real quick, too, to follow up on that, for those of you who have been watching the news of what other counties around us are doing in this budget cycle, most counties across the state of Maryland are raising their taxes and in astronomical numbers right now, preparing for the Kirwan Commission, which is the Commission on Education Funding, which the second shoe will drop next year. We were able to hold the line on taxes, and I will tell you this, any service you want that you want to pay for in your tax dollars, we can certainly provide, but I don't think that would be the will of most people here in Queen Anne's County, is to have their tax dollars raised for trash service when we have some great, the recycling stations are great. It forces people to recycle. It gets them out of the house one day a week. So, and the cost is astronomical. It's like going to paid firefighters. I've got that question before. We had a number, $17 million some odd in operational increase to go to paid firefighters here in Queen Anne's County. And quite honestly, our volunteers are against it. So I think we do a great job the way we are, and I'd like to see it stay that way.
All right, great. All right, I'll be right over. I'm going to come down here.
Thank you. I think we had around 11,000 feet of 12-inch water main pipe that was laid that combined the Stevensville and the Chester system. Can you tell me what funds were used to put that in?
That came from Four Seasons. So that funding for there, wait a minute, before I say that, it hasn't been put in yet. The one that I'm referring to that's going to connect those two has not been put in yet, but Four Seasons is paying for it. So that was part of the agreement.
Are you talking about the one to connect the towers across the Kent Narrows?
I'm sorry, it was the well that was into the lower Patapsco at the Chesapeake Bay Business Park, the upgrade at the Chesapeake Bay Business Park, and then the 11,000 feet of 12-inch pipe that combined it.
Yeah, that's definitely Four Seasons. Now, they are building a new water purification, brand new wells, brand new, I think it's a $4 million project that they're going to be upgrading the fresh water. So that's part of that. But there is a line that's being replaced, and it was $1 million, and it came when Four Seasons started. They had to give that $1 million, and we could choose where we spent that money, what we use that money on. And that's what I'm saying. We might be getting crossed up. They're paying for a new water line, but they're also paying that $1 million was given to us to replace a bad existing water line. So that's what I mean. That, there's a couple different projects in there.
All right.
Yes, thank you again for you guys doing this. One more quick question regarding the Christchurch property. We heard a lot at the recent county budget hearings about the need for meeting room space on Kent Island and how the library may or may not be able to meet that very strong public need. Given the potential availability of meeting room space in the Christchurch property, if it was used differently, where does that factor into your value system in terms of the public good, the immediate availability of meeting room space in Stevensville?
Well, I've been in the facility, and the facility needs some work, and I don't know, Jack, honestly, if that would play into it, into my decision making for that. I think that the library is going back to the drawing board, and they're drawing very rapidly, and I think that they're going to come back with a plan that moves forward the library project. So I think that's pretty much all I can really say about that, because that's a lot of hypothetical what ifs in there, and it's hard to pin that, nail those down.
Plus, I would like to say, a lot of times we talk about meeting space. Now, there's certainly meeting space that's for rent all over Kent Island, but you're speaking strictly to rental space or meeting space that you can go into that would be free of charge to groups, probably, right? Thinking more public meeting space that's open.
Yeah, either way.
But I mean, there are spaces here around the island that people meet, so I don't want to say there's none here, but
It doesn't sound like it's a very important issue to you guys, is it?
Right. No.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay, I'm coming down here. First car you ever owned?
72 Nova.
72 GTO. There now.
Mine was a 72 Pinto,
And we were running on the same streets.
but I bought it myself.
So did I.
So did I.
So, Lucy Cruz, don't touch the mic.
Lucy, I
Rule
knew you were
number
going-
two.
I knew you were going to get there
Rule
on
2
your own.
broken. We
Yeah,
got a
yeah,
Rule
yeah.
2 breaker.
I'll touch him. So my question is, when you all consider who the property will be sold to, this is about Christchurch again, will there be consideration given to a purchaser? Is it just going to go by cost, for example?
No.
Okay, because I'm hoping, or let me ask this in a question, will you be giving consideration to purchasers who will serve the greater need of the public in a more broad way? Given the fact that you've already spent $700,000 on the existing structure, I think some people, more people than you are probably are aware of, that are afraid to speak up, are concerned that it'll be sold to the existing tenant, which serves 35 families a year. So we've spent $700,000 in taxpayer money to advantage 35 families a year. Will there be consideration to a broader use of that property that benefits the public at large?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're getting them all. I think the deadline is the end of May, and then we're going to review them all, ask questions, and we could very well throw them all away. Say we're going to start over. I mean, nothing is set in stone. It's not. We don't have those that give us by the end of May. If we don't like them, we'll start over. If we find one that we can work with, there might be some give and take, some questions, some comments, but there's nothing that says we have to sell this thing right now.
That was on tape, is what was said. All right, are there any more questions? We're at the very end. We've reached our 6 o'clock. We have one more.
He's not allowed to ask a
You're not allowed to
question.
ask a question unless you steer the boat.
So, of all the commissioners that you work with, who's your favorite commissioner to work with? I'm just asking for a friend.
Todd Mon. Actually, Margie Houck. Why would I say it? She's the best commissioner we got, for God's sakes.
Well, I'll go with
they're
Linda.
dodging.
'Cause
They're
you don't wanna-
dodging.
You don't want to
They're
cross Linda.
Linda's on vacation right now. Margie's here. She might be watching, so.
All right, well, we have one final question, and I have the answer, so I won't make them answer it. It was, what is the plan for the 4th of July fireworks this year? They're going to be on July 2nd from 6 to 9:30. And it's going to be free entertainment. It's family friendly. I've been talking too long. So make sure you're out there. It's going to be a lot of fun. And that's a fun way to end this evening. We want to thank the commissioners for coming out. But more importantly, I want to thank you guys for coming out and asking questions.
Yep. Thank you all for coming out. It's
And I want to thank QAC TV for
Yep.
coming out here this late hour. I appreciate what you guys do.
Yes, I mean, it's past my bedtime. I know. And thanks again to Hemingway's for hosting. They were gracious hosts. They let us use the patio, and it was a great time. And remember, this isn't the last time. This was the first time.
right.
We're doing this again next month, and we'll have a great time. We're going to keep doing it. So come back out, ask more questions next time, and please share this video so that everyone can see what's going on. And next time, we can have an even bigger crowd and ask even more questions for your next show.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. All right,
Thank
thanks
you.
for watching, everyone. See you next time.